What if your worst morning became the moment everything changed? Chantel Douglas didn't move to Seoul to fall in love. She came for a job, a fresh start, and maybe a clean towel. But one chaotic morning, with no towel in sight, she opened the door and accidentally collided with Korea's most powerful billionaire. What began as an awkward encounter quickly unraveled a world of hidden wounds, viral headlines, heartfelt laughter, legacy, and healing. Because Myung-Dae Kim wasn't looking for love either. He was a man obsessed with control, hiding behind success, afraid to be seen. Until her towel fell, and the walls around his heart followed. This is more than a romance. It's a story about legacy, laughter, faith, and the power of being truly known. Welcome to today's story. An AMBW cinematic love story you'll never forget. Get comfortable, grab a warm drink, and let's begin where all great love stories do. With one bad morning and one unexpected knock at the door. Seoul, South Korea, 6:12 a.m. The morning light bled through the curtains like an uninvited guest. Chantel Douglas groaned from beneath the rumpled sheets of her new sublet, jet lag tangled in her limbs like invisible vines. Her eyes cracked open. "Where the heck am I?" she croaked, sitting up abruptly and hitting her head on the slanted ceiling. "Ow. Okay, yes. Seoul, South Korea. I'm in Seoul, and I overslept." She grabbed her phone. 6:13 a.m. Her orientation at the Education Foundation was in 2 hours. "Oh no! 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 No!" She launched into a chaotic sprint around the tiny loft studio, a whirlwind of mismatched pajamas, spilled skincare products, and suitcase carnage. Somewhere between brushing her teeth with bottled water and discovering the toilet had a buttoned remote instead of a lever, she opened the bathroom cabinet for a towel. Nothing. She checked under the sink. Only a lopsided plunger and a jar of Korean coins. She checked the wardrobe, the kitchen drawer, even the microwave. Desperation does weird things. Still, no towel. "I'm gonna cry," she muttered, standing dripping wet in the middle of the bathroom like a miserable sea creature. Who rents out an apartment without a single towel? Who does that? The doorbell rang. She froze. Then she screamed, loud and muffled through the shower curtain. "No, thank you." But it rang again. A patient, almost smug chime. Whoever it was wasn't going away. Okay, you want crazy? I can do crazy," she whispered to herself. Wrapped in her bedsheet like a frazzled Greek goddess, Chantel tiptoed toward the door, muttering every psalm she could half remember. She peered through the peephole, saw the silhouette of a man in a suit, and yanked the door open, ready to tell him off. And then she forgot how to breathe. Standing there, tall, powerful, irritatingly perfect, was a man who looked like he'd walked off a luxury watch ad. Tailored charcoal suit, hair combed to stylish precision, sharp jawline, cold expression, until he saw her. Sheet, frizzy curls, wide eyes, and absolutely, positively no towel. The silence stretched between them like a tightrope. Then, I was not expecting a toga party," he said, arching one pristine brow. She blinked. He blinked. Chantel slammed the door in his face. Heart pounding, she backed away, her foot catching on a suitcase strap. She tripped and landed with a thud on the hardwood floor. From the hallway, a low chuckle. She flung the door back open just enough to stick her head out. "Are you seriously laughing right now?" The man, now grinning faintly, handed her a small square envelope and a sleek black business card. "My assistant forgot to inform your Airbnb host that the unit was scheduled for an inspection. That host is no longer employed." "Oh," Chantel's lips parted. "You're the inspector?" "Not exactly. His eyes flicked downward, and her grip on the sheet tightened. He gestured toward the envelope. Dry cleaning voucher. You looked like you needed it. She blinked at the card. Myung-dae Kim, CEO, K Group. Yes, that K Group. Luxury hotels, tech, fashion, media, private jets. Her stomach did something weird, like it remembered all the ramen noodles she'd eaten for dinner and suddenly felt unworthy. And the card? She asked. So you can buy yourself a towel, he said flatly, but the faintest smirk betrayed him. Oh my. But also, he added, stepping backward toward the elevator, you owe me coffee. Consider it penance, or a very strange form of gratitude. Before she could respond, the doors closed, swallowing him like some elevator-bound fairy tale. Chantel stood there in stunned silence, a puddle of disbelief around her bare feet. Dry cleaning voucher in one hand, K. Group CEO card in the other, hair still wet, sheet slipping dangerously low. She turned back inside and shut the door slowly, then whispered, Did I just flash Korea's richest man? Seoul, Itaewon District, 8:37 a.m. The scent of fresh espresso and baked vanilla rolled through the cafe like a warm invitation. Chantel Douglas pushed open the glass door of Day Roast, not expecting much. Her goal was simple: survive the morning, secure caffeine, and avoid any run-ins with emotionally scarring billionaires. The bell above the door chimed. A barista with bleached tips and a wide smile greeted her. Welcome to Day Roast. Table for one? Unfortunately, yes. She sighed dramatically, brushing damp curls from her forehead. Unless you count this sinfully jet-lagged suitcase as a date. The barista chuckled and led her to a corner table with sunlight streaming through sheer curtains. She slid in, grateful for a quiet moment. The place was stunning. High ceilings, copper accents, ivy crawling along the brick walls. Very expensive. She pulled out her journal and tried to focus. New life, new job. Don't think about Mr. Armani eyes and the accidental striptease. Americano. Extra shot. 1 sugar. A smooth voice interrupted her thoughts. She looked up. Him, Myung-dae Kim. Towering. Impeccable. Annoyingly symmetrical. And now holding her coffee order like some absurd caffeinated prince. Chantel blinked. Do you moonlight as a barista in your spare time? She asked, already on edge. I own the place, he replied, sliding the cup toward her. But I like to be hands-on. Oh, great, she said dryly. So now I've embarrassed myself in your apartment building and your coffee shop. Should I add your private jet to the list? He gave a small smile and sat across from her without asking. She narrowed her eyes. Do billionaires not believe in personal space? I find it inefficient, he said. Chantel snorted. You're insufferable. You're towelless, he countered. Low blow. He sipped his espresso with zero remorse. 10 minutes later, somehow, the sarcasm turned into a rhythm. The rhythm turned into real conversation. And beneath the sharp banter, something softer unfolded. So, Chantel stirred her coffee slowly. Do you always track down strangers you've seen half naked? He tilted his head. Only the ones who answer the door like Aphrodite with bedhead. She rolled her eyes. Stop. You've probably got 12 women waiting for you in glass towers. 14, he deadpanned. But none of them insulted my fashion sense or called me Mr. Armani eyes. Her lips twitched. Well, I call it like I see it. You look like a walking luxury billboard, but I'm guessing you already know that. He didn't respond right away. When she looked up, something in his face had shifted. Barely noticeable, but real. A flicker of vulnerability. They only ever see that, he said quietly. The money, the clothes, the empire. Chantel set her mug down. And that bothers you? I used to think it didn't, until someone opened the door without pretending. She stared at him. He stared right back. Heartbeat. Silence. Connection. She broke the moment first. Well, I wasn't pretending. I was just a towelless Texan trying not to flash an entire continent. His laugh was soft, almost reluctant. You're not like anyone I've met, he admitted. You talk to me like I'm just a guy. She leaned back, brow raised. Because you are. Just a guy with a freakishly symmetrical face and a wallet that could pay off the U.S. national debt. That earned a real smile. He reached into his coat pocket and placed a sleek folder on the table. What's this? She asked. A proposal. Marriage already? You move fast. He chuckled. Not that kind of proposal. I run a foundation. We're launching a new education initiative for underprivileged students. Seoul, Busan, Jeonju. We need fresh voices, grounded perspectives. She opened it. Diagrams, a mission statement, photos of rural classrooms, a budget plan. Wait, are you offering me a job? I'm offering you a place to matter. She swallowed, caught off guard. You barely know me. He leaned forward, his voice low, steady. I knew enough the moment you refused to apologize for existing. Chantel's throat tightened. You moved here to start over, didn't you? He asked gently. Why? She stared at her coffee, then looked up. My mom passed 3 months ago. It was just me, a dead-end job, and grief that filled every corner of my house. I needed to breathe somewhere else. Silence. Then he said, this project, it's not about the PR. It's about impact. About healing where it hurts most. She blinked at him. Why me? She whispered. Why not someone with, I don't know, a proper resume? He stood slowly, buttoned his suit jacket. Because, he said, voice firm, you saw me before the headlines. And I think, maybe I'd like to be seen again. Then he nodded and walked out the door, the bell chiming softly behind him. She sat there in stunned silence, the proposal folder open in front of her. What just happened? Did Korea's most powerful man just offer me a job? Because I called him Mr. Armani Eyes? Seoul, K Foundation headquarters. The 27th floor smelled like lemon polish, ambition, and imported Italian espresso beans. Chantel Douglas stood in front of the glass-walled conference room like a woman on the edge of her destiny, and possibly a caffeine crash. She clutched the leather portfolio Myung-dae had couriered to her apartment with a handwritten note inside. 9 a.m. sharp. Don't be late, and try not to flash anyone this time, M. She'd nearly thrown it across the room, but now, here she was, dressed to impress in wide-leg navy trousers, a tucked-in blouse, and curls falling freely in what she hoped screamed professional, more than please don't Google me. Inside the room sat a panel of board members and the man himself, Myung-dae Kim, sharp as ever in a navy suit, not smiling, but watching her like she just walked in holding lightning. Miss Douglas, he said without looking away, welcome to K Foundation. Chantel smiled. Thanks. I wore pants this time. You're welcome. Someone at the table coughed to cover a laugh. Myung-dae's jaw ticked, but the corner of his mouth twitched. Later, that week at her new job as project consultant for K Foundation's scholarship initiative wasn't exactly what she expected. It was more. The office was sleek but warm, all glass and natural wood. The mission was real. And the students? They reminded her of kids back home in Houston, bright, overlooked, and hungry for someone to believe in them. But working with Myung-dae Kim, that was its own challenge. He reviewed every report with precision, rewrote every email with military grammar, asked questions like a detective but praised like a monk, rarely and with terrifying calm. Still, he let her speak, listened, watched her light up when she spoke about equity and impact. And once, when she tripped over a projector cord and landed flat on the carpet, he actually laughed. Like, full-on laughed. She made a mental note. He has a nice laugh. Dangerous. Weapon grade. One Tuesday afternoon. I want to understand what a normal day looks like, he said, leaning against her office doorframe. Chantel frowned. You want me to explain or show you? I want you to take me. To where? Your world. She blinked. You want to ride the subway? He nodded. And whatever else you do. Budgeting, errands, real life. You won't survive. Try me. 3 hours later. Location, Seoul Metro, Line 2, Myeongdae. Kim stood awkwardly holding onto the subway rail, surrounded by teenagers blasting K-pop, a grandmother asleep on his shoulder, and Chantel, who was barely holding in her laughter. You look like a Sims character that hasn't loaded properly, she teased. He glared. This shirt cost more than your rent. And yet, that little Ajuma is using it as a pillow. Iconic. He cleared his throat. How do you do this every day? Do what? Be surrounded by chaos, she shrugged. I am the chaos. Next stop. Grocery store. Watching a billionaire try to navigate self-checkout was spiritual. He kept scanning the same banana, and it kept beeping back at him like a personal insult. Chantel leaned on the cart, filming discreetly. You have 6 degrees, and a banana just defeated you. Wow. I'm calling my assistant, he muttered. Nope. You're doing this. Be the banana. He turned toward her with that stone-faced glare. She just grinned. Say it, he growled. What? The thing you've been dying to say since we walked in. Chantel smirked. This is your billionaire's test, isn't it? He groaned. Their chemistry and sparks? It wasn't just laughter. It was light, the kind that made both of them glow. He liked her sarcasm, her boldness, her refusal to shrink in his shadow. She liked that underneath the luxury in Armani, there was a boy who had once slept on a rice mat in Busan and dreamed of building an empire, and still hadn't figured out how to buy cereal without a board meeting. That evening, just after 6 p.m., the clouds cracked open on their walk back to her subway station. No warning, just sky and storm and sudden downpour. Chantel shrieked and tried to shield herself with the grocery bag, which promptly split open, sending bananas and discount ramen flying. She cursed under her breath. This city's trying to kill me. And then, warm fabric wrapped around her shoulders. A towel. His towel. She turned, stunned. Where did you... I asked your building manager to keep one in the car, he said, voice calm, eyes burning with something deeper. Figured you had a history. Chantel blinked up at him, rain dripping from her lashes. He reached out, gently brushed a curl from her cheek. Now we're even. She swallowed. You know, I think this might be the weirdest day of my life. He stepped closer, close enough to count her freckles. Let's make it weirder. Rain falling. A billionaire with a soaked hair and no clue how to scan groceries. A towel-wrapped Texan with spark in her eyes. Somewhere between chaos and control, they found each other. I think I just fell for a man who couldn't figure out a banana. Lord help me. Oit Seoul, Bookshan Bookstore, 3:44 p.m. There was something sacred about bookstores, the kind of quiet that hummed with possibility, not pressure. Chantel trailed her fingers along the spines of Korean poetry collections, smiling to herself. She couldn't read most of it. yet. But she liked the feel of the place. It smelled like cedar and old stories. Behind her, Myung-dae stood awkwardly between the philosophy and children's section, holding a book titled Budgeting with Integrity like it might explode in his hands. "You're telling me people actually buy this?" he asked, lips twitching. Chantel snorted. "Yes, Mr. Armani eyes. It's called humility. Look into it," he deadpanned. "I have people for that." She gave him a look. He sighed and flipped to chapter 2. Spending is emotional. That's rich, coming from a book that costs 40,000 won. She couldn't help it. She burst out laughing. He smiled too, genuinely. And in that moment, with his sleeves rolled to his elbows and the sunlight cutting through the glass windows behind him, he looked nothing like Korea's most feared CEO. He looked like a man, a beautiful, tired man who was finally learning to breathe. And that's when it happened. The click, then another. A burst of whispers, a flash, then, That's him! Who's the foreign girl?" They turned. Paparazzi. 3 of them. With lenses too long and questions too sharp. The next morning, headlines everywhere. Korea's coldest CEO smiling. Meet the mystery foreigner who melted him. Who is she? The Ice King and the girl who laughed too loud. Chantel stared at her phone in horror. Her inbox was exploding. Her students had seen it. Her pastor's wife had sent a link. She nearly threw the device off the Han River Bridge. Instead, she took a deep breath and marched into K Foundation headquarters, determined to act like everything was fine. It wasn't. The family meeting. Kim residence. That evening. The Kim estate was carved into the side of Namsan Mountain. Part architectural marvel, part dynasty museum. Everything about it whispered legacy, and the woman at the head of the dining table was its coldest whisper, Seo Hiran. Myung-dae's stepmother, 49, impeccably elegant. A former ballerina turned power strategist. She stirred her tea like it had wronged her. "This girl," she said coolly, not bothering to mask the disgust, "is becoming a distraction." Myung-dae didn't flinch. "She's a consultant. She's good at her job." "She's a scandal," Hiran snapped. "You're the face of K Group. You cannot be seen gallivanting through bookstores like some college boy in a Netflix drama." He clenched his jaw. "I wasn't gallivanting." She tilted her head. "Your father built this empire with blood, and you'd risk it. For what? A woman who has no lineage, no ties to this country, no—" "Stop," he said sharply. The room went silent. He met her eyes. "Say whatever you want about me, but don't insult her." Meanwhile, in Chantel's apartment, later that night, she sat on her balcony, blanket wrapped around her shoulders, laptop open, scrolling through article after article. Foreigner, gold digger, clout chaser, an amusing phase, America's export, loud laughter and no class. Each word cut deeper than the last. She didn't cry. She didn't even blink. She just closed the laptop and stared out at the glittering skyline, wondering what she'd gotten herself into. When her phone buzzed, she didn't answer. Myung-dae had called 3 times, left a voice note. "Chantel, please, they don't get to define us. Call me." She didn't. 2 days later, he found her outside Day Roast, their cafe, sipping coffee alone, her expression unreadable. He sat across from her, waited. She finally looked up. Her voice was quiet, too quiet. "Was I ever more than a headline to you?" His brow furrowed. "You know you were." "Do I?" Her laugh was bitter. "Because right now, I feel like your public relations experiment. Something to prove you're different." He stood abruptly. That's not fair. She stood too, eyes flashing. You didn't prepare me for this. You didn't warn me what being near you means. That I'd lose my name, my peace, my privacy. That strangers would pick me apart because I made you laugh. My family, he started. She cut him off. I don't care about your family. Silence. Then she exhaled, shoulders trembling. I care about me, and I'm not sure I can survive being seen like this. If you're not really seeing me. He stepped closer. I do see you. She looked at him with soft, breaking eyes. Then why do I feel invisible? I'm not asking you to apologize, she whispered. I'm not asking you to fight your family. Then what are you asking? I'm asking you to figure out if I'm just your rebellion, she said, eyes glistening, or your reason. He blinked. Because I'm done being someone's middle finger to the world. A long silence. Then, I need space. She walked away, leaving her coffee unfinished, her heart full of storm, and him standing alone with all the headlines, all the power, and absolutely no idea how to fix it. Let them talk, she whispered to herself, but this time, I won't lose myself just to be someone else's breaking news. Flashback. Busan. South Korea winter, 1997. The tiny one-room flat was freezing. The windows rattled with every gust of wind, and the floor heater blinked red, out of gas again. 7-year-old Kim Myung-dae sat huddled in the corner, a threadbare towel wrapped around his thin shoulders, watching his father cough into his hands, trying to hide the blood. Sorry, son, his father rasped, voice papery. No hot water today, but I'll fix it tomorrow. I promise. That was the last promise he ever made. He died that night. And the towel, the only thing between Myung-dae and the cold, became a silent vow in his chest. Never again, never helpless, never unprepared. He chased wealth like it was armor, chased control like oxygen, and the world obeyed. Until a woman wrapped in a sheet opened her apartment door and cracked something inside him wide open. Present day, Seoul, late evening. The city moved around him in golden blurs and unfocused light. Myung-dae stood outside Chantel's apartment, drenched from rain, his usually sleek hair disheveled, his tailored shirt untucked. No chauffeur, no umbrella, no press team. Just him and a towel. He held it like it meant something, like it had always meant something. He raised his hand to knock, then lowered it, then knocked anyway. The door opened slowly. Chantel blinked at him, caught between confusion and disbelief. You okay? She asked. He laughed, soft, a little broken. No. She stepped back instinctively, letting him in. He moved like a man who hadn't slept, who hadn't smiled, who'd stared at his empire and realized none of it felt like home anymore. He stood in the middle of her apartment, dripping rainwater on the rug. She crossed her arms. I'm not in the mood for riddles, Myung-dae. He nodded. Good. I came without them. He held up the towel, folded neatly. I brought this. She stared. You brought a towel? He gave a half shrug. Felt poetic. Is this an apology or performance art? He stepped closer, eyes locking onto hers. No Armani chill this time. Just sincerity. Let me be the one without answers now, he said, voice low and steady. I'm not here to impress you. I'm here because I miss the woman who made me laugh when I was trying to disappear. The air stilled. Chantel's breath hitched. He went on. I built a life where no one could touch me, where no one could surprise me. And then you opened the door in a sheet and flipped my world like it owed you money. She bit back a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Why now? She asked quietly. After everything. After your stepmother humiliated me. After I got called every name under the sun online. After I walked away. He ran a hand through his damp hair. Because I didn't know how to fight for someone I wasn't pretending to be. He looked around. At her apartment, her books, the mug that said Texas girls don't play nice. I spent so long trying to be respected, I forgot what it felt like to just be real. You reminded me. And then I let you go because I didn't know how to hold something I couldn't control. He placed the towel on her counter. This time, I'm not bringing contracts or foundations or headlines. He took a step forward. I'm bringing regret and honesty and every stupid laugh I didn't say out loud when you made me. Another step. And if you don't want to see me again, I'll walk away right now. He stopped in front of her. But if there's still room for someone who finally wants to be seen, not as a CEO, not as a scandal, but just as a man who fell in love with the woman who never let him hide, then say something. Chantel looked up at him. No umbrella, no suit, no defense, just him. And suddenly, her own heart cracked, because for the first time, she didn't see the headlines or the chaos. She saw the towel. She saw the boy underneath it, and she stepped forward, placed her hand on his chest. I hated you, she whispered, for making me feel like I was something disposable. I hated me too, he whispered back. Then she smiled, slow and sad and warm. You're still a mess. I'm a better mess, he said. Are you staying? He nodded. If you let me. She exhaled, long and tired and relieved. Okay then, she said, turning toward the linen closet. But you're making me tea, and I'm keeping the towel. He grinned. And in the quiet of the apartment, with the storm still trickling outside, two people who once collided by accident began again. On purpose. Some people bring flowers. He brought a towel. And somehow, it was exactly what she needed. Saturday morning. There were no velvet ropes, no red carpets, no bodyguards. Just Chantel Douglas, hair in a pineapple bun, sleeves rolled up, standing next to Myungdae Kim, Korea's most elusive billionaire, in a laundromat with 4 working machines and a malfunctioning coin dispenser. She handed him a basket full of mismatched socks and pointed at the coin slot. Your turn. He stared at the machine like it had personally offended his ancestors. I have 3 degrees from Seoul National, he muttered. And yet, Chantel grinned, you're losing to a dryer. Later. That afternoon, local ramen shop, Mappo District. Do I slurp? He asked, eyes wide as the server placed steaming bowls in front of them. You must slurp. It's cultural, Chantel replied, lifting her chopsticks like a sword. It says the ramen is good. He hesitated. This feels indecent. So did I at the door that morning, and yet, here we are. He laughed, really laughed, and slurped with the clumsy gusto of someone learning to be human again. The couple at the next table whispered, Isn't that... He didn't hear them. Or maybe he just didn't care. That evening, K Foundation Youth Center. The room buzzed with chaotic energy. Game night with the scholarship students. Chantel high-fived one of the boys who finally beat her in Uno. Okay, don't get cocky. From the corner, Myungdae watched, arms crossed but smiling like he didn't know how not to. When a shy girl tugged his sleeve and asked if he'd like to play Jenga, he nodded once and knelt beside her, careful and precise. The tower crashed. He blinked. Chantel burst into laughter. So much for Mr. Strategic Planning. I demand a rematch, he said, brushing sawdust off his slacks. You're playing with 10-year-olds. Even more reason to win. Later, that night, on her apartment balcony, the city was quiet. Their ramen-stuffed bellies were full. The night air smelled like laundry detergent and sweet sesame. She leaned into his shoulder. I like this version of us. she whispered. No boardrooms, no headlines, just you, me, and the overwhelming trauma of community Jenga. He smiled. This is my favorite version of us, too. Then, as if remembering something, he reached behind the small balcony chair and pulled out a sleek black lunchbox. For you. She opened it cautiously. Inside was a towel, cream white, thick, monogrammed in gold thread, CD. She blinked, caught between laughter and tenderness. You got me a towel? In a lunchbox? He looked smug, because it's not the money. It's the moment. Chantel's smile faltered. Her throat tightened. He leaned in, voice softer now. This towel doesn't say, I saved you. It says, I see you. She touched the edge of the fabric, moved beyond words. Why does a towel feel more romantic than flowers? She murmured. Because you didn't meet me in a tuxedo, he replied. You met me in chaos. And I've been grateful ever since. The next morning, he posted a picture of the towel on his verified SNS account. No caption, just the monogram. The comments exploded. CD? Is this real? Did the Ice King just go soft? I knew it. She's real, and she's black. OMG. Yes! Interracial couple era, let's go! He turned off the comments, smiled, closed his phone. Let them talk, he said aloud. Monday morning. The email hit her inbox like a brick. Subject, urgent. Offer from the Texas Global Literacy Council. Ms. Douglas, we're thrilled to offer you the Director of Strategic Equity and Youth Advancement for our U.S. division. The position is based in Austin, Texas. A 6-figure package, relocation support, and your own team. We need a final answer in 48 hours. She read it once, then again, then sat down. She wasn't expecting this. Not now. Not when things were just normal. Safe. Beautiful. She closed the laptop. Outside her window, the city sparkled. She looked down at the towel still draped across her bed. Then at the lunchbox beside it. Her heart whispered a question she wasn't ready to say aloud. What if love isn't supposed to be simple? Later, Myung-dae's office. She stepped into the doorway. He looked up from his laptop, expression brightening. I got an offer, she said. His smile faltered. In Texas. Silence. She didn't sugarcoat it. Dream role. Youth Advancement Director. I've wanted this for years. His jaw tensed. And? He asked. I have 48 hours. And just like that, love had a clock on it. Seoul. 26 hours left? Chantel sat on the edge of her bed, suitcase half packed. The towel, cream white, initials gold, sat folded at the top of her clothes. She stared at it like it was mocking her. Texas was calling, but Seoul had given her something she didn't expect. Love that didn't demand. Love that saw her, love that grew. Her phone buzzed. Myung-dae, meet me. No pressure. Just trust me one last time. An hour later, Yongsan District. The black sedan pulled up in front of an old building wrapped in scaffolding and morning fog. Industrial, unremarkable, still under construction. She stepped out cautiously, hugging her hoodie close. He was waiting by the open gate, dressed simply in jeans and a long coat. No bodyguards, no headlines, just him. Chantel, he said softly. She raised a brow. This is your final Hail Mary? No, he said. This is my truth. He led her inside. The interior was raw but transforming. Wide hallways with sunlight filtering through the dust. Paint cans, exposed beams, a wide space with high ceilings and child-sized chairs stacked in the corner. She looked around, confused. Then she saw the plaque on the wall. the Douglas Center for Literacy and Leadership. Inspired by the legacy of Patrice Douglas, built for every child who was ever told they weren't enough. Her knees buckled slightly. "I don't understand," she whispered. He turned to her, voice steady. "You once told me your mom taught kids to read using cereal boxes when there were no books in the house, that she believed in second chances and loud laughter and God's timing." Chantel's throat burned. She did. "I listened," he said gently. "Every late-night talk, every story, every sigh. You thought I was falling for you because you challenged me." He stepped closer. "But I was falling because you reminded me of what power is for." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "Myung-dae, this is too much." "It's not a bribe," he said, shaking his head. "It's not me asking you to stay. It's a place you already built. I just gave it walls." He didn't kneel. He didn't hold out a ring. He just looked at her like she was the first and last page of every book he'd ever needed. "I'm not asking you to stay in Korea," he said quietly. "I'm asking you to build a life with me, wherever you want to start." She stared at him, sobbing and laughing, and absolutely undone. "You arrogant, ridiculous, towel-delivering billionaire," she whispered. "I'll take that as a maybe." She rushed into his arms before he could finish. Their kiss wasn't cinematic. It was messy. It was joyful. It was true. And for once, no headlines, no paparazzi. Just two people standing in a place built from everything they once thought they'd lost. 3 months later, the ribbon fluttered in the breeze. A small crowd gathered in front of the brand new Douglas Center. Children clutched oversized scissors. Local leaders gave speeches. Press took photos. But Chantel, she stood beside him quietly, holding his hand. They weren't flashy. They didn't need to be. A new plaque had been installed near the entryway, built from chaos, laughter, and one unforgettable morning without a towel. Dedicated to the moment it all began. Inside the lobby, tucked in a glass shadow box, sat a folded towel, cream white, gold thread, initials, CD, a small placard read, "The official start of our story." And just like that, she didn't choose Texas or Seoul. She chose love that builds, love that remembers, love that wraps you in a towel when the world feels cold. 1 year later, Austin, Texas. The Texas sun was showing off. Birds chirped in the old oak trees. Aunties were fanning themselves on the front porch, gossiping under floppy hats. Cousins ran barefoot across the lawn, chasing bubbles and fighting over who got to carry the flower petals. Inside the small chapel just outside of Austin, Chantel Douglas stood in front of the mirror, smoothing her gown. No tiara, no glitz, just satin, simple lace, and soft curls tumbling down her back. Her mother would have cried or cracked a joke. Probably both. Outside the window, she could see him, Myung-dae Kim, standing near the altar in a tailored cream suit, laughing nervously with her Uncle Charles, trying to understand the difference between fixing to and might could. And looking at him, she didn't see a billionaire. She saw the man who bought her a towel instead of a diamond, the man who held her hand through grief, the man who gave her mother's name a legacy. "Girl," her cousin whispered, "he fine, and he came all the way from Korea for you?" Chantel smiled. "Nah, he stayed for me." The ceremony wasn't grand. It was real. Her veil blew crooked in the breeze. The toddler flower girl tried to eat a petal, but when she walked down that aisle to soft piano chords, every step was peace. He didn't cry, but his hands shook. Their vows weren't perfect, but they were theirs. "I didn't know how to be soft until you laughed in my boardroom. I didn't know what home meant until your towel touched my skin." Laughter, tears, applause. When they kissed, it wasn't about fireworks. It was quiet, deep, grateful, holy. Later that night, family BBQ, Douglas backyard. Someone put on Luther Vandross. Her dad's old smoker hissed. Her aunt was yelling at the brisket like it owed her money. Myung-dae sat on a folding chair in the grass, completely overdressed, holding a paper plate stacked with ribs and potato salad, while Chantel's great-grandmother grilled him about whether he believed in covering his wife in prayer. "Yes, ma'am," he said respectfully, mouth full of cornbread. "Every day, and probably twice on Sundays." Chantel walked past with a lemonade and whispered, "You're officially one of us now." He smiled, brushing BBQ sauce off his sleeve. "Does that mean I get a nickname?" She laughed. "You've had one since the towel incident, but it's too inappropriate to say in front of Grandma." 16 months later, Seoul. It was raining again. Not the dramatic movie kind, just soft, whispering rain, the kind that kissed rooftops and made flowers sigh. Inside the Douglas Literacy Center, the children's wing was buzzing, not with students, but with congratulations. On the wall, next to the towel shadow box, was a new addition. Welcome baby Patrice. Born 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Parents, Myung-dae and Chantel Kim. A tiny pair of socks hung beside the towel, white with little golden initials, PK. Late night, nursery room. Myung-dae stood swaying gently, his daughter curled against his chest in a soft lavender wrap. Chantel leaned in the doorway, watching her husband, bare feet, messy hair, humming a lullaby in broken English and softer Korean. "She likes your heartbeat," she whispered. "She likes the ramen I ate earlier," he replied. She came closer, wrapped her arms around his waist. "I used to think love had to be loud," she said, "like movies, fireworks, screaming in airports." He looked down at her. "But this is quieter, stronger. This is ours," he murmured. They stood there for a while, the three of them, tangled in love, grace, and the kind of silence that speaks volumes. On the wall beside them, a towel, a symbol of chaos, and now, a symbol of forever. They say love begins with a spark, but sometimes it begins with a knock, a towel, and the courage to build a life worth folding into. The end. It started with a towel, but it ended with a vow. Myung-dae didn't just fall in love. He rebuilt his world around the woman who saw him, even when he had nothing to prove. And Chantel, she didn't just survive Seoul. She left a legacy that stretched across oceans and down into the heart of a child they never thought they'd be ready for. This wasn't a fairy tale. It was a story built on chaos, honesty, ramen, and the courage to choose love without needing control. No diamond proposal, no private jet, just a towel in a lunchbox and a community center with her mother's name on it. Because when love is real, you don't have to beg someone to stay. You build a life worth staying for. If this story moved you, drop a heart in the comments. Like and share it with someone who needs a reminder. Even the messiest mornings can lead to the most beautiful beginnings. Subscribe for more AMBW love stories full of purpose, healing, and heart. And until the next story, don't wait for perfect. Just open the door.